The Elden Ring franchise's newest installment, Night Rain, has given us multiple answers regarding previous characters or events, but in turn has given us a lot of more questions and mysteries. As a surprise to no one, a lot of these mysteries come from the night itself, and most predominantly Hellstar himself. One of the mysteries that I've seen brought up is regarding theories and evidence pointing towards an outer god of night. However, I believe there is a major misconception in this claim. The evidence most commonly used is the trace of night that we get from beating the lesser Night Lords, with it stating the qualities of the Night Lord, bearing the manifest potential to alter fate itself. The light dimly reveals the contours of a greater being that lies beyond the Night Lord. It also visually shows a dim light showing something that could possibly be an outer god itself. We know the outer gods themselves are heavily associated with a singular eye, such as the Fell God or the Frenzy Flame, and with the Elden Beast and all the other falling stars having one eye. It's fair to say that the Greater Will does as well, and since the Elden Beast directly proves that stars can be the eyes of these creatures, it's not impossible to say for this star to be an eye as well. All of this is pretty solid proof, right? It's directly telling us there's something beyond the night and the Night Lord. But let's take a closer look, shall we? The Night Lord in the Trace of Night isn't referring to Hailstor, it's referring to the lesser Night Lords. I say this because of two main reasons. The Night Lord doesn't by itself mean it's Hailstor. All the other Night Lords are the Night Lord as well. We know this is the case because Duchess states, "But that beast left a trace. And I believe the trace is enough, the parts will begin to resemble a whole." So that just directly confirms to us that the traces of the night are in reference to the respective Night Lords that they drop from. This is even further confirmed by the fact Hailstor himself doesn't drop a trace of night, making him distinct from the lesser Night Lords who do drop traces of night. That already makes it weird for that to be the case if the traces of night were mentioning him. Duchess reiterates this again with her stating, "The Night Lord yet lives. There are others, too many I'm afraid," which also directly indicates the other Night Lords are the Night Lord as well. So with this, it becomes clear that the Night Lord doesn't inherit Hailstor without additional context. But when we look closer at it and what it says, it becomes more apparent. It states, "The light dimly reveals the contours of a greater being that lies beyond the Night Lord." Now let's take a look at what Hailstar's expedition says. "Beyond the boundless night, there lies a hazy figure of a person. The signs shall reveal where the footprints of the primordial Night Lord lead." And with that context in mind, it perfectly describes what the Trace of Night tells us. A being greater than the Night Lord, and how the traces are revealing of this character. For starter, we're just directly told us Hailstor is beyond the night in its entirety, which in turn means he's beyond the other Night Lords. And his title as Primordial Night Lord is just above them, as he's the source of their power. And the light dimly revealing the contours part is a reference to the signs that shall reveal the Night Lord. We know this because we get 4 of these traces of night, and only then are we able to fight Hailstor. If these traces were talking about some other character, then they shouldn't lead us to Hailstor to begin with. Along with the majority of the game, we're trying to find the true Night Lord, with us fighting the lesser ones to get clues on him. And we get said clues from the traces of night. If you don't buy any of this, then let's look at it from a narrative perspective. Why would the game be hyping up some other character other than Hailstor, when the majority of it is spent trying to find out who this greater being is? It doesn't make any narrative sense for all these lesser Night Lords clues to be pointing out some character we never see, when the entire premise is that Hailstor is the being beyond the night and our actual enemy. Even the light that dims in the item doesn't really mean much. There is already a mysterious light in the empty background, and when we fight Hailstor, his arena skybox houses multiple stars just like the one we see in the Trace of Night. And when we first see Hailstor, we see a hazy figure or being that is being dimly lit up by the light, sharing similarities to what we're told about this light. There are some other arguments for this being an outer god of night, like the skybox being an eye or the backbone, but I don't think these have much merit. The night being an eye doesn't automatically mean it's an outer god. We know the Night Lords watch us to some capacity, given they can invade us at any time, and their skyboxes resembles their individual characteristics. Not only this, but for Adele, Libra, and Caligo, we see all their arena having an eye, indicating they are constantly watching over us to some capacity. So with this added context, it makes much more sense for it just to be the Night Lords watching us. And for the backbone of an outer god, nothing really ties it back to Hailstor, aside from it removing divine essence and Hailstor being weak to holy. For one, we know Hailstor has multiple aspects of himself, like the infant and the other Night Lords possessing weapons or items he doesn't have. Like Libra can summon weapons or items he doesn't have access to, and Hailstor himself, if you don't believe him to be from the Carrion descendant, has access to the Moonlight Greatsword, which other characters aside from them shouldn't. Having an item related to an outer god doesn't inherently mean you're connected to that outer god either. Moru is a perfect example of this. He himself doesn't have any connection to the Fell God, but his armor and talismans are directly connected to an outer god. Hailstor also doesn't really fit the nature of how outer gods take vessels. We know when he was defeated, he created the night, You can't just create something related to an outer god unless you directly become its vessel or you interact with one of its vassals yourself. Hailstar doesn't fit any of these two, and it seems like he just created his ruin by himself, something we already know is possible with the mending runes. Even if you don't buy these arguments, let's look at Hailstar as a character. We know Hailstar lost at some point during an unnamed war, and a majority of people believe this character is Radagon. But even if it wasn't, we know a majority, if not all, the wars in Elden Ring are because of the influence of outer gods, with them influencing men to fight for them. Hailstar is the karma of these wars, with him taking revenge by destroying the world indiscriminately no matter who these orders are associated with. But with him also taking in characters regardless of their background, he even takes in characters who believe in gods completely separate from the knight. This thematically has never been what outer gods want to achieve with their vassals. They want to have their power to be absolute and for worship to be only for them. Hailstar accepting Fulgur and other characters goes against this, and not only that, Hailstar is the karma of all these wars that take place because of these outer gods would contradict this. If Hailstar was the pawn of another outer god, it would go against his whole character. I would also like to mention my strongest point of evidence and the smoking gun on all of this. The director of Night Rain himself states the following. So there's this concept called the Night Lord, which is a sort of abstract phenomena or calamity that has befallen the lands between in this alternate timeline. And much like a real life calamity, it's something that's not done by design or intention. It's something that has occurred naturally and it's befallen the lands between. This just directly means that the night cannot be related to an outer god. They create their spells or affect the world by their own intention for their own desires. The night isn't by intention, meaning an outer god just couldn't have had any influence in it. But that's just what I think. Maybe I'm wrong and I'm missing a key piece of evidence. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe. And if you don't, that's okay. Thanks for watching.